My girlfriend told me I don't get a say in her life because we're not married, so I took her at her word. When she came back from her girls' weekend, her key didn't work, her stuff was gone, and my neighbor had some very interesting things to tell her about my transformation. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. Before I continue, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and subscribe if you've ever been told you're overreacting for having basic expectations in a relationship. My name's Ryan Chen. I'm 31, and I'm a software developer who works from home. I live in a 3-bedroom house in suburban Portland that I bought 2 years ago. It's not a mansion, but it's mine. My name is on the mortgage. My name is on every single bill. And my name is on the little decorative sign by the front door that says, "The Chen Morrison Household," a sign my girlfriend bought without asking me and hung up like we were already married. We are not married. This fact would become very important. Jessica Morrison and I had been together for 2 years. For the last 8 months, she'd been living in my house, not paying rent, not splitting bills, just existing in my space like a particularly expensive houseplant that occasionally complained about my taste in furniture. I'm a pretty chill guy. My idea of excitement is debugging code while listening to lo-fi beats. I have 3 close friends, a standing Saturday morning basketball game, and a collection of vintage video games that I'm genuinely proud of. I like order. I like peace. I like knowing where I stand. Jessica is not like that. Jessica's personality is a full-time performance, and her audience is her 3 best friends, a trio I privately call the Council of Chaos. Their names are Madison, Addison, and Peyton. I genuinely cannot remember which is which because they dress identically, talk identically, and share one collective brain cell that they use exclusively for bad decisions. The incident that changed everything happened on a Wednesday night. I was in my home office on a video call with a client, walking them through a website redesign. Jessica burst into the room without knocking, phone pressed to her ear, already laughing at something one of the council had said. "Oh my God, yes," she shrieked into the phone, completely ignoring my muted microphone gesture. A weekend at the coast is exactly what I need. Just us girls, no boys allowed. I muted myself and gave her a look. She waved me off like I was a fly. "No, Ryan's not coming. Don't be ridiculous. He'd just sit in the hotel room playing video games the whole time anyway." She was probably right about that, but it still stung. I finished my call and found her in the kitchen, already packing a beach bag, even though the trip was apparently 3 days away. "So," I said casually, pulling a beer from the fridge, "girls' weekend at the coast. That sounds fun. Which hotel are you all staying at?" It was a simple question, a normal question, the kind of question you ask your live-in partner when they announce a trip. Jessica stopped packing and looked at me like I just asked her to explain her entire financial history. "Why do you need to know that?" she said, her voice sharp. "I don't need to know. I'm just asking, making conversation, you know, like couples do. We're going to Cannon Beach," she said slowly, like she was talking to a child. "There. Happy? Sure. Which hotel?" Her eyes narrowed. "Why are you interrogating me?" "I'm not interrogating you. I'm asking basic questions about your plans." She let out a sharp laugh and pulled out her phone. Within seconds, she'd started a FaceTime call with the council. All 3 faces appeared on screen, already smirking. "Girls, you won't believe this," Jessica said, flipping the camera to show me standing there with my beer. "Ryan wants to know exactly where we're staying, like he needs to track my every move." "Oh my God, controlling much?" one of them said. "Seriously toxic," another chimed in. "Jessica, I just asked which hotel." She flipped the camera back to herself. "I know, right? It's like we've been together 2 years, and suddenly he thinks he owns me. You literally live in my house. I said. She turned to me, and I'll never forget the look on her face. Pure condescension mixed with performative exasperation. Ryan, she said slowly, like she was explaining gravity to a toddler. Stop acting like we're married. You don't get a say in where I go or who I'm with. We're dating. That's it. The council erupted in applause and whoops through the phone speaker. Preach! Set those boundaries, girl. He needed to hear that. I stood there in my own kitchen, in my own house, holding a beer I'd bought with my own money, and something inside me just clicked off. Not anger, not hurt, something colder and clearer, the part of my brain that had been trying to make this relationship work, the part that made excuses for her, the part that convinced me she'd mature eventually. That part just packed its bags and left. I looked at her triumphant smile, at the council cheering her on through the phone, at the beach bag she was packing for a trip she'd planned, without mentioning to me once. And I smiled, a big, genuine, completely empty smile. You know what? I said, my voice calm and friendly. You're absolutely right. We're not married. I apologize for overstepping. The change in my tone confused her for a second. She'd been gearing up for a fight. Oh, she said. Well, good. I'm glad we're on the same page. Completely on the same page, I agreed. You have a great time at the coast. Don't worry about anything here. I won't, she said, the smugness returning. I walked back to my office, closed the door, and sat down at my computer. Then, I opened a new document and titled it, Operation Not Married. If we weren't married, if I didn't get a say in her life, then she certainly didn't get a say in mine. And my life was about to change dramatically. The planning phase. The next morning, Jessica left for work at the boutique, where she sold overpriced candles to people with more money than sense. The moment her car disappeared down the street, I got to work. Step 1 was reconnaissance and documentation. I went through the house with my phone, photographing everything, every piece of her clothing in the closet, every makeup product cluttering my bathroom counter, every throw pillow she'd bought that served no purpose except making my couch uncomfortable. Then I made a list, a detailed inventory of her belongings versus mine. The results were interesting. The house, mine, bought before we met. The furniture, 90% mine. The couch, the bed, the dining table, all purchased by me. The TV, mine. The gaming systems, definitely mine. The kitchen appliances, mine, except for her espresso machine that she used once and then declared too complicated. Her contributions to the household, decorative items, throw pillows, scented candles, a collection of inspirational wall art featuring phrases like live, laugh, love, and good vibes only. Nothing essential, nothing structural, nothing that would be missed. I sat at my kitchen table and refined my plan. The key was doing everything completely, legally. I wasn't going to give her any ammunition to use against me. I called my lawyer, Tom Davidson. We'd gone to college together, and he handled all my contract work. Tom, hypothetical question. If someone is living in my house without a lease, without paying rent, and I want them to leave, what's the legal process? Is this about Jessica? He asked immediately. Hypothetically, he sighed. Ryan, in Oregon, if someone's been living in your property for more than 30 days, they're considered a tenant even without a lease. You'd need to give formal notice, usually 30 days, for a no-cause eviction. What if they're not actually a tenant? What if they're just a guest who overstayed? That's a gray area. But if you want to be completely safe, treat it like an eviction. Give written notice, follow proper procedure. What if I just change the locks? Don't do that. That's illegal lockout. She could sue you. Okay, different hypothetical. What if she goes on a trip, and while she's gone, I pack all her belongings carefully, store them safely, and change the locks? Then, I text her the storage unit information and tell her I'm exercising my right to end our cohabitation arrangement. Tom was quiet for a moment. Ryan, that's a dick move. Is it illegal? It's complicated. She could potentially claim illegal eviction. But if you document everything, store her stuff safely, give her access to it, and can prove she made statements about the nature of your relationship, specifically that you weren't married, and you didn't have authority over her decisions, you might have an argument that she was never a tenant in the legal sense. What if I recorded her saying that? Oregon is a one-party consent state for recordings. If you were part of the conversation, it's legal. Hypothetically, what if I already have that recording? Tom groaned. Ryan, whatever you're planning, make sure you document everything. Photos, videos, texts. And for God's sake, don't damage any of her property. I would never. And Ryan, when she sues you, and she will, call me immediately. You think she'll sue? Brother, I guarantee it. I hung up and moved to step 2, recruiting allies. My next-door neighbor, Margaret Sullivan, was a 76-year-old retired drama teacher with silver hair, a quick wit, and an encyclopedic knowledge of everything that happened on our street. Nothing escaped Mrs. Sullivan's notice. She knew which houses were having affairs, which teenagers were sneaking out, and which yards had the best tomatoes. She also thought Jessica was, in her words, a vapid little narcissist who doesn't deserve you. I found Mrs. Sullivan in her garden, pruning her roses. Mrs. Sullivan, I need your help with something. It involves a small theatrical performance. Her eyes lit up like a kid on Christmas morning. I'm listening. I explained the situation. I told her about Jessica's statement, the exact words. Stop acting like we're married. You don't get a say. Mrs. Sullivan's face went from interested to outraged in about 3 seconds. That ungrateful little... She stopped herself, took a breath. Ryan, what do you need me to do? When Jessica comes back from her trip on Sunday night, she's going to find herself locked out. She'll probably panic, maybe knock on doors. When she comes to you, I need you to seem confused and deliver some key information. What information? I pulled out a small script I'd written. Mrs. Sullivan read it, and her smile grew with each line. Oh, this is delicious, she said. Ryan, I raised 3 teenagers and directed 40 years of high school theater. I can deliver this performance in my sleep. I knew I could count on you. When she comes crying to me, I'll be the picture of confused, neighborly concern. She paused. What are you going to do with all her things? Storage unit. I'll pay for a month. After that, it's her responsibility. And the house? Complete transformation. If we're not married, if I don't get a say in her life, then she doesn't get a say in how I live in my own house. Mrs. Sullivan patted my hand. Your mother would be proud. This is the kind of petty I can get behind. The transformation. Friday morning, Jessica left for the coast. She was meeting the council at Madison's apartment, and they'd all drive together. She kissed me on the cheek at the door, like everything was normal. I'll be back Sunday night, she said. Don't burn the house down. Have fun, I said with a smile. The moment her car was out of sight, I called my 2 best friends, Marcus and David. Guys, I need your help moving some stuff. I'll provide beer and pizza. They arrived within an hour. Dude, are you breaking up with Jessica? Marcus asked, looking at the boxes I'd already started packing. We were never married, I said. She made that very clear, so I'm just respecting her boundaries. David grinned. This is going to be good. We started with her closet, every dress, every pair of shoes, every handbag, all carefully folded or packed. I wasn't going to give her any excuse to claim I'd damaged her property. I labeled each box clearly. Clothes, every day. Clothes, going out. Shoes, the collection that could pay off student loans. Makeup, enough product to stock a Sephora. Bathroom stuff, various serums and potions. Marcus laughed at every label. You're being really generous, you know. Most guys would just throw this stuff on the lawn. I'm not most guys. I'm covering my ass legally. By Friday evening, every trace of Jessica's physical presence was packed into 23 boxes. We loaded them into a U-Haul and drove to a storage facility on the other side of town. Unit 237, climate-controlled, paid for 1 month in advance. I took photos of everything, the boxes neatly stacked, the receipt, the unit number, the access code, full documentation. Saturday morning, the real fun began. Okay, I said to Marcus and David, who'd stayed the night. Time for phase 2, the resurrection of my actual personality. First to go, the beige aesthetic. Jessica had slowly, over 8 months, turned my house into what I can only describe as sad, minimalist waiting room. Everything was beige, white, or gray. There was no color, no personality, no soul. The awful white shag rug in the living room, rolled up and posted on Facebook Marketplace. Sold within an hour. I replaced it with something I'd had my eye on for months. A vintage arcade-style rug that looked like the carpet from an 80s bowling alley. Geometric patterns in teal, pink, and purple. It was hideous and perfect. The uncomfortable modern couch she'd insisted on also sold on Marketplace. In its place, a massive sectional sofa in charcoal gray with a built-in recliner and a chaise lounge big enough to nap on. It had cup holders. So many cup holders. This is the most comfortable thing I've ever sat on, David declared, immediately claiming the recliner spot. The minimalist coffee table made of glass and regret, replaced with a vintage wooden trunk I'd found at an estate sale that doubled as storage. But the crowning glory of the living room transformation was my new acquisition, a fully functional 1982 Ms. Pac-Man arcade cabinet. I'd wanted one for years. Jessica had vetoed it as tacky and taking up too much space. Well, Jessica didn't get a say anymore. The arcade cabinet went right where her fiddle leaf fig tree used to be. The tree went to Mrs. Sullivan, who'd always admired it. The bedroom was next. Down came the macrame wall hanging that Jessica claimed was bohemian chic, and I claimed looked like a spider web made by a drunk spider. In its place, a framed poster of the original Star Wars. Not the special edition, the real one. Her decorative throw pillows that made actually sleeping in the bed an obstacle course, donated to Goodwill. Her scented candles that made the house smell like vanilla pumpkin dreams, or whatever, also donated. I replaced them with one really good candle that smelled like cedar and tobacco, masculine, simple, perfect. By Saturday evening, the house looked completely different. It looked like my house, like a place where a 31-year-old guy who liked video games and basketball actually lived. But I wasn't done. Sunday morning, I went to Home Depot and changed every lock in the house. New deadbolts, new door handles, new garage door code. I took photos of the old locks and the new locks. Documentation. Then I changed the Wi-Fi password. The new network name. Not married, no say. The new password. Get your own Wi-Fi 2024. Petty? Absolutely. Satisfying? You have no idea. Sunday afternoon, I made my final and most important acquisition. The animal shelter was having an adoption event. I went just to look. I came home with a dog. Not just any dog. A 2-year-old golden retriever named Cooper, who'd been surrendered by his previous owners because they didn't have time for him. Cooper was 75 pounds of pure joy. He had a permanently wagging tail, a tennis ball addiction, and the kind of loyal, goofy personality that made you wonder how anyone could give him up. He immediately claimed the new sectional sofa as his personal throne. "Welcome home, buddy," I said, scratching behind his ears. "You're going to love it here. No one's going to tell us we can't exist in our own space." Cooper licked my face in agreement. I took a selfie with him on the couch, both of us grinning. I saved it for later. By Sunday evening at 6 p.m., the transformation was complete. My house was unrecognizable from the space Jessica had left on Friday morning. I ordered pizza, cracked open a beer, and sat on my comfortable sofa with Cooper's head in my lap. The video doorbell app was open on my phone, and I waited. The return. At 8:47 p.m., my doorbell camera detected motion. There she was, Jessica, looking tan and relaxed, rolling a small suitcase up my driveway. She was humming something, probably some song the council had played on repeat during the drive home. She climbed the porch steps, pulled out her key, and slid it into the lock. It didn't turn. I watched her face on the camera. Confusion first, then mild annoyance. She tried again, jiggling the key harder. Still nothing. "What the hell?" I heard her mutter. She tried the door handle. Locked. She walked around to the side door. Also locked. Back to the front porch. She started knocking. Ryan, my key isn't working. Can you open the door?" Cooper's ears perked up at the sound. He let out one deep woof and then went back to chewing his tennis ball. My phone started vibrating. Jessica calling. I let it ring. She called again and again. 5 calls in 3 minutes. All declined. The knocking got more aggressive. "Ryan, this isn't funny. Open the door. I know you're in there. I can see the lights on." I took a sip of my beer and continued watching. She tried calling 2 more times. Then she started texting. "Why isn't my key working? Ryan, answer your phone. This is ridiculous. I swear to God if you don't open this door." I didn't respond to any of them. After about 10 minutes of escalating panic, she did exactly what I knew she would. She walked over to Mrs. Sullivan's house and knocked on her door. Showtime. Mrs. Sullivan opened her door, perfectly backlit by her porch light, wearing a cardigan and holding a watering can like she'd been tending to her evening plants. "Oh, Jessica dear," Mrs. Sullivan said, her voice pitch perfect with neighborly surprise. "What are you doing out here? Is everything all right?" "Mrs. Sullivan, thank God," Jessica said, her voice tight with frustration. "I can't get into the house. My key doesn't work, and Ryan won't answer the door. Is he home? Have you seen him?" "Oh, he's home," Mrs. Sullivan said, nodding enthusiastically. "He's had quite the weekend, actually. Very productive." "What do you mean productive?" Mrs. Sullivan leaned against her porch railing, settling in like she was about to share the neighborhood's juiciest gossip. "Well, you know how you two had that conversation about not being married?" Jessica froze. "How do you know about that?" "Oh, honey, sound carries in these old houses. I heard you telling him he doesn't get a say in your life since you're not married to him." Mrs. Sullivan's voice was perfectly innocent, but I could see the glint in her eye on the camera. "And Ryan, well, he took that to heart." "What are you talking about?" "He spent the whole weekend redecorating. Said since you're not married and he doesn't get a say in your life, you don't get a say in his house either." Made perfect sense to me. "He redecorated? Oh, it's marvelous," Mrs. Sullivan gushed. "Very masculine. Very him. That beige furniture is gone. Too cold anyway, in my opinion. He got this wonderful big comfy couch and a video game machine, one of those old-fashioned ones. And he reorganized everything. Said he was reclaiming his space." Jessica's face was cycling through emotions so fast, I almost laughed. Confusion, disbelief, anger, panic. "Where's my stuff?" "Oh, he was very careful with your belongings," Mrs. Sullivan said reassuringly. "Packed everything up nice and neat. He's a good boy, my Ryan. Very responsible." "Packed?" "He packed my things." "Well, you're not married, dear. You said so yourself. Why would a non-married person's things be in someone else's home?" Mrs. Sullivan's logic was airtight and absolutely devastating. "This is insane. I live there." "Do you?" Mrs. Sullivan asked, tilting her head innocently. "I thought you just told him you two weren't married. Marriage implies a shared life, doesn't it? Shared home, Shared responsibilities. Jessica just stared at her. Oh, and the best part, Mrs. Sullivan said, clapping her hands together. He got a dog, a beautiful golden retriever named Cooper. Such a sweet boy. Ryan said he wanted a companion who was loyal and didn't criticize his furniture choices. She paused for effect. Dogs are very non-judgmental that way. Jessica turned slowly and looked at my living room window. Through the gap in the curtains, she could see the back of the new couch, the glow of the arcade cabinet, and Cooper's tail wagging as he played with his toy. The sound that came out of her mouth was somewhere between a gasp and a scream. She pulled out her phone and started furiously typing. My phone exploded with messages. What did you do? Where is all my stuff? You can't just kick me out. This is illegal. Open the door right now. I waited until she'd sent about 15 messages. Then I replied with a single text. You said to stop acting like we're married. You said I don't get a say in your life. I agree completely. Since we're not married, I'm exercising my right to determine who lives in my house. Deed attached. Your belongings are safe in a climate-controlled storage unit. Address, 4250 SE, Morrison St., Unit 237. Access code, 1234. Paid through, end of next month. After that, storage fees are your responsibility. Thanks for clarifying our relationship status. It really helped me make some important decisions about my living situation. I attached a photo of my mortgage statement, showing only my name. Then, I blocked her number. Through the doorbell camera, I watched her read the text. Her face went through every stage of grief in about 10 seconds. She looked at her phone, looked at the window, looked at Mrs. Sullivan, who gave her a sympathetic shrug. Then, Jessica absolutely lost it. She screamed, an actual, full-throated scream of pure rage. She tried calling me from what must have been one of the council's phones. Blocked. She pounded on the door. Ryan! Ryan! Open this door right now! Cooper barked once, uncertain. Good boy, I told him. That's a stranger. We don't open doors for strangers. Jessica's screaming eventually devolved into crying. Big, messy, ugly crying. Mrs. Bryant Sullivan went back inside. Mission accomplished. After about 20 more minutes of Jessica alternating between crying, screaming, and frantically texting people, a car pulled up. Madison, Addison, and Peyton, the council, spilled out of a BMW, all talking at once. Oh my God, what happened? Are you okay? Did he really change the locks? What an asshole. The four of them had a conference on my front lawn. Lots of dramatic hand gestures. Lots of, you don't deserve this, and he's showing his true colors. Finally, they packed Jessica and her suitcase into the BMW and drove away. I let out a long breath I didn't know I'd been holding. Cooper looked up at me, his tail still wagging. It's over, buddy, I said. The hard part's done. I was wrong. The hard part was just beginning. The aftermath Monday morning. I woke up to discover that Jessica had launched a full social media assault. Her Instagram story was a masterclass in vague posting. Sometimes you find out who people really are when they finally show you their true colors. Thought I knew you. Guess I was wrong. Being a strong, independent woman really threatens some people. Know your worth, queens. Don't let anyone make you feel small. The council was boosting every post, adding their own commentary. Madison, you deserve so much better. He never deserved you. Addison, men really hate it when women have boundaries. Peyton, the trash took itself out. Now you can find a real man. My phone started blowing up with messages from mutual friends. Dude, what happened with you and Jessica? Did you really kick her out? Her friends are saying some pretty harsh stuff about you. I didn't respond to any of them yet. I was waiting for the right moment. Tuesday morning, that moment arrived. Jessica's lawyer sent me a letter. It was delivered via email and certified mail, just to make sure I got it. The letter was 3 pages of legal jargon that boiled down to, I had illegally evicted her. Without proper notice, I was holding her property hostage. She was entitled to immediate access to the home. She demanded financial compensation for emotional distress and housing displacement. I had 48 hours to respond or face legal action. I forwarded the letter to Tom, my lawyer. He called me 20 minutes later, laughing. "Ryan, this is the worst demand letter I've ever seen. Her lawyer is either incompetent or didn't get the full story from her. What do? We respond with facts. Do you have documentation of everything? Photos, videos, receipts, texts, everything. Perfect. I'll draft a response. It's going to be beautiful." Tom's response letter was, indeed, beautiful. It included copy of my mortgage showing sole ownership, proof that Jessica never paid rent or utilities, screenshots of her text stating, "We're not married," and "You don't get a say," photos of her belongings safely stored, storage unit receipt showing I'd paid for a month, a polite inquiry about whether Jessica would be reimbursing me for 8 months of free housing, utilities, and food. The kicker was the final paragraph. Ms. Morrison repeatedly and explicitly stated that she and Mr. Dom Chen were not married and that he had no authority over her decisions or whereabouts. Mr. Chen has simply agreed with this assessment, as Ms. Morrison was not a legal tenant. No lease, no rent paid, no utility contributions, and as she explicitly defined the relationship as non-binding. Mr. Chen exercised his right as the sole property owner to determine the occupancy of his private residence. All of Ms. Morrison's belongings were carefully preserved and remain accessible to her. Mr. Chen looks forward to Ms. Morrison's reimbursement check for 8 months of cohabitation expenses, calculated at fair market value for rent and utilities in the Portland area, totaling approximately $12,800. We never heard from her lawyer again, but the social media war continued. Jessica posted a long, heartfelt story about narcissistic abuse and financial control and gaslighting. The council shared it everywhere. Some of our mutual friends were starting to buy into the narrative. That's when I decided to tell my side of the story. I didn't engage with her posts directly. Instead, I made my own. I posted 3 photos. Photo 1, my living room, before, the beige couch, the white rug, the soulless minimalism. Photo 2, my living room, after, the arcade cabinet, the comfortable sectional, Cooper sprawled across the cushions, looking supremely happy. Photo 3, a selfie of me and Cooper on the couch, both grinning. The caption was simple: "Spent the weekend reclaiming my space after being told I don't get a say because we're not married." Turns out she was right. I don't get a say in her life, and she doesn't get a say in my house. Thanks for the clarity. Cooper and I are living our best non-married life. No say, no stay, bachelor pad restoration, rescue dog dad. The response was immediate and overwhelming. My friends loved it. The comments poured in. "Dude, that arcade cabinet is sick. Cooper is the ultimate upgrade. Wait, she actually said you don't get a say? In your own house? That couch looks amazing. Can I come over?" People started asking questions. I responded honestly. Did she pay rent? No. Was her name on anything? No. Did you damage any of her stuff? No. It's all in a storage unit I paid for. Did she actually tell you that you don't get a say in her life? Yes. With witnesses. The narrative flipped. Suddenly, Jessica's posts looked less like brave woman escaping toxic man and more like entitled person mad that consequences exist. The council went quiet. Some of Jessica's other friends started commenting on my post with apologies. "Ryan, I'm so sorry. We didn't know the full story. If someone told me I don't get a say in my own house, I'd have done the same thing. Cooper is adorable, and you deserve better." The best comment came from a guy named Derek, who I barely knew. My ex did something similar. Told me I was too controlling for asking where she was going. She was cheating. Good for you for standing up for yourself. Within 48 hours, my post had been shared over 300 times. Cooper became a minor local celebrity. People recognized us at the dog park. And Jessica? She deleted all her vague posts and went silent. Final chapter. 3 weeks after the lockout, I ran into one of the counsel at the grocery store. It was Peyton, or maybe Madison. I still couldn't tell them apart. She approached me hesitantly while I was in the produce section, trying to pick between 2 types of apples. "Ryan," she said. I looked up. "Hey, can we talk for a second?" I gestured to my shopping cart. "I'm not exactly busy." She took a breath. "I wanted to apologize. For that night at your house? For laughing when Jessica said that stuff. It was out of line. Okay? We didn't know the whole situation. Like, about you paying for everything. And her not contributing. We just heard her side. Which was? That you were being controlling and possessive. That you were trying to track her movements and limit her freedom. By asking which hotel she was staying at." She winced. "Yeah, when you put it that way, it sounds pretty reasonable." It was reasonable. I know that now. She paused. "Jessica's living with her parents. In Gresham. She's pretty miserable. That's unfortunate. She's been talking about getting a place with Madison, but..." She trailed off. "But Madison doesn't want to live with someone who doesn't pay rent?" Peyton actually laughed. "Exactly. How's the rest of the council handling all this?" She rolled her eyes. "We're not a council. We're just friends." "You sure acted like a council." "Fair point." She shifted her weight. "Look, I know this is weird, but I also wanted to say, your dog is really cute. I saw the photos. Thanks. Cooper's the best roommate I've ever had." "I believe it." She hesitated. "Jessica said you did all this to hurt her, to get revenge. I didn't do anything to her. I just took her at her word. She said we weren't married, and I didn't get a say. So I agreed. She didn't mean it literally. Then, she shouldn't have said it literally." I grabbed a bag of Honeycrisp apples. Here's the thing. When someone tells you who they are and how they see you, believe them. Jessica told me exactly how much authority I had in her life. None. So I stopped trying to have any, and I also stopped letting her have authority in mine. Peyton nodded slowly. "That's actually really healthy. Therapy helps." "You're in therapy." "Started 2 weeks ago. Turns out I have some patterns of accepting less than I deserve in relationships. Working on that." She smiled. "Good for you, Ryan. Seriously. Thanks." I started to push my cart away, then stopped. "Hey, Peyton?" "Yeah?" "Tell Jessica I hope she figures things out, and that the storage unit is paid through the end of next month. After that, she needs to handle it." "I will." I pushed my cart toward the checkout. Cooper's new dog food, already loaded, in the back. 6 months later, I'm sitting on my back deck on a Saturday morning, coffee in hand, watching Cooper chase squirrels in the yard. The sun is warm. The air smells like cedar and fresh-cut grass. And my phone buzzes with a message from Marcus. "Basketball in an hour. You in?" "Always," I reply. Life has settled into a rhythm that feels right. The house is mine again, not just legally, but emotionally. Every piece of furniture is something I chose. Every decoration means something to me. The arcade cabinet gets regular use. Cooper has destroyed exactly 2 throw pillows, which I replaced with ones I actually liked. I started dating again about a month ago. Nothing serious yet, but I'm meeting people who actually contribute to the relationship, who ask about my day, who split the check, who don't treat my home like a free hotel. The therapy has been good, really good. I've learned a lot about why I tolerated Jessica's behavior for so long, about my tendency to avoid conflict by just accommodating whatever someone else wants, about the difference between being easygoing and being a doormat. My therapist asked me an interesting question last week. Do you regret how you handled it? I thought about it for a while. No, I said finally. I regret staying as long as I did. I regret ignoring the red flags. But the way I ended it? No regrets. She told me the rules of our relationship. I just played by them. Do you think you were cruel? I think I was decisive. I documented everything. I didn't damage anything of hers. I gave her access to all her belongings. I just stopped letting her live in my space for free while treating me like I didn't matter. And that feels fair to you? It feels honest. My phone buzzes again. This time, it's a dating app notification. Someone named Sarah sent me a message commenting on the photo of Cooper in my profile. Your dog is adorable. Is he as sweet as he looks? I smile and type back. Sweeter. And he's an excellent judge of character. If he doesn't like you, that's a deal breaker. She responds immediately. That's fair. Dogs know. We chat for a bit. She's a veterinarian. She owns her own place. She has a cat named Professor Whiskers. She laughs at my jokes. It's nice. Easy. The kind of conversation where nobody's keeping score. Cooper bounds up onto the deck. Tennis ball in mouth, tail wagging. What do you think, buddy? I ask, showing him Sarah's profile picture. Worth a shot. He drops the ball and barks once. I'll take that as a yes. I hear footsteps and look up. Mrs. Sullivan is walking across my yard, carrying a basket. Ryan, dear, I made too much banana bread. Would you and Cooper like some? Mrs. Sullivan, you're a saint. She sets the basket down and scratches Cooper behind the ears. He immediately rolls over for belly rubs. So, she says, casually, I heard through the neighborhood grapevine that Jessica moved to Seattle. Good for her. Apparently she's got a new boyfriend. Some finance guy. I hope it works out for them. Mrs. Sullivan gives me a knowing look. You really mean that, don't you? I do. I don't wish her harm. I just don't wish her in my life. That's very mature of you. She pauses. Though, I must say, watching her face when I told her about your weekend transformation was one of the highlights of my retirement. I laugh. You were brilliant. Thank you for that. My pleasure, dear. Anytime you need theatrical support for justified pettiness, I'm your woman. She heads back to her house, and I check the time. Basketball in 30 minutes. I grab my keys, give Cooper fresh water, and head out. At the court, Marcus and David are already warming up. Hey, look who's here, Marcus calls out. Mr. Bachelor Pad himself. That's Mr. Bachelor Pad with an awesome dog. Thank you very much. We play for 2 hours. Afterwards, we grab lunch at our usual spot. So, David says, stealing a fry from my plate. You seeing anyone? Maybe. Met someone on an app. Veterinarian. We're getting coffee next week. Nice. What's her name? Sarah. Marcus raises his beer. To Sarah. May she appreciate arcade cabinets and not demand say over your furniture choices. We clink glasses. Honestly, though, David says, you seem really good, man. Like, the happiest I've seen you in years. I feel good, I say, and I mean it. Turns out having boundaries and self-respect does wonders for your mental health. Who knew? Marcus says, sarcastically. My phone buzzes. It's a text from an unknown number. Ryan, this is Jessica. I know you blocked me, but I'm using a friend's phone. I wanted to say I'm sorry for how things ended. I was immature, and I took advantage of your kindness. You deserved better. I hope you're doing well. I show the text to Marcus and David. What are you going to do? David asks. I think about it for a moment, then type, I appreciate the apology. I'm glad you're doing some self-reflection. I wish you the best. Then I block the new number. You're not going to engage? Marcus asks. No point. The apology is nice, but we're done. That chapter is closed. Cold, David says, but he's smiling. Not cold, boundaried. There's a difference. We finish lunch and part ways. I drive home, windows down, music playing. When I pull into my driveway, Cooper is waiting at the window, tail wagging like a propeller. I walk in, and he greets me like I've been gone for years, instead of hours. "Hey, buddy," I say, kneeling down for the full body wiggle greeting. "Did you guard the house?" He barks. "Good boy." I grab a beer from the fridge, sink into my comfortable sectional, and pull up the dating app. Sarah sent another message. "Coffee Wednesday at 3? There's a great place downtown that's dog-friendly if you want to bring Cooper." "Perfect," I type back. "Cooper will be thrilled. He loves making new friends." I set my phone down and look around my living room. The arcade cabinet glowing softly. The bowling alley rug that makes me smile every time I see it. The photos on the wall of me and my actual friends, doing things we actually enjoy. This is my house, my space, my life, and I don't need anyone's permission to live it the way I want. Cooper jumps onto the couch and puts his head in my lap. "You know what, Coop?" I say, scratching behind his ears. "We're doing pretty damn good." He wags his tail in agreement. And, for the first time in a long time, I believe it. Epilogue. 1 year later, the house smells like garlic and tomatoes. I'm in the kitchen, making my grandmother's pasta sauce recipe from memory, while Sarah chops vegetables at the island. "Your technique is terrible," she says, watching me mince garlic. "My technique gets the job done. You're a software developer. You should appreciate efficiency." "I appreciate flavor. Efficiency is secondary." She laughs and steals a piece of the bread I'm toasting. Cooper and Professor Whiskers are in the living room, engaged in their usual detente. Cooper has learned that the cat is in charge, and Professor Whiskers has learned that Cooper is too dumb to be a threat. It works. Sarah moved in 3 months ago. Actually moved in, paying half the mortgage, her name on the utilities, a legal cohabitation agreement drafted by Tom because I learned my lesson. "You know what's funny?" Sarah says, putting the salad together. "What?" "Mrs. Sullivan told me the whole Jessica story before we'd even been dating a month." "She didn't." "Oh, she absolutely did. Called me over for tea and gave me the complete dramatic retelling, including her own performance as the confused neighbor." "I'm so sorry." "Don't be. It was hilarious. And it told me everything I needed to know about you. That I'm petty, that you have boundaries, that you document everything, that you stand up for yourself." She pauses. "And that you have excellent taste in dogs." Cooper's ears perk up at the word dogs. "Also," Sarah continues, "the arcade cabinet sold me. Anyone who chooses Miss Pac-Man over a fiddle leaf fig has their priorities straight. The timer goes off, pasta's ready. We sit down to dinner at the table we picked out together. A real wood farmhouse table that seats 8, because we actually host dinners now. Marcus and David are coming over later for game night. Mrs. Sullivan is bringing dessert. Sarah's sister and her husband might stop by. My house is full of people I chose. People who add value to my life. People who respect boundaries and contribute equally and don't treat love like a transaction." After dinner, Sarah and I clean up together. It's easy, comfortable. We have a system. "Hey," she says, drying a plate. "I saw Jessica posted something yesterday." "Oh?" "Engagement announcement to that finance guy in Seattle." "Good for her. You really mean that, don't you?" "I do. I hope she's learned something. I hope she's different with him. I hope it works out." Sarah puts the plate away and turns to me. "You know what I love about you? My exceptional garlic mincing technique? That you don't hold grudges. You set a boundary, you enforced it, and then you moved on. No bitterness, no anger. Just forward." I had a good therapist and a good dog. The dog helped. She kisses me, and it still gives me butterflies after a year. The doorbell rings. Marcus and David arrive simultaneously, both carrying board games. "Chen, tell David that Settlers of Catan is objectively superior to Ticket to Ride." I will not get involved in this argument again. Mrs. Sullivan arrives with apple pie, and Sarah's sister texts that she's 10 minutes away. The house fills with laughter, friendly competition, Cooper begging for pie scraps, Professor Whiskers judging everyone from his perch on the bookshelf. This is what home is supposed to feel like. Not perfect, not always easy, but honest, equal, real. Later that night, after everyone's gone and the kitchen is clean, Sarah and I sit on the back deck with Cooper between us. Happy? She asks. Very. Good. She leans her head on my shoulder. Because I was thinking we should get another dog. Really? Cooper needs a sibling. And the shelter has this 3-legged pit bull mix that nobody wants. And I can't stop thinking about her. I laugh. A 3-legged pit bull. Her name is Betty. Of course it is. So, I think about the house, about the space we've built together, about capacity for love and responsibility and joy. Let's meet Betty. Sarah grins and pulls out her phone to schedule the shelter visit. Cooper's tail thumps against the deck. And somewhere in Seattle, Jessica is probably planning her wedding, living her own life, learning her own lessons. I genuinely hope she's happy. But more than that, I'm grateful because she taught me the most important lesson of all. When someone tells you that you don't get a say in their life, believe them. And then build a life where you don't need their permission to be happy. This story is a reminder that sometimes the best response to disrespect isn't anger, it's agreement. When someone tells you that you don't matter, that your feelings don't count, that your boundaries are unreasonable, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply say, okay, you're right, and here's what that means. Love should be a partnership, not a performance. Home should be a sanctuary, not a prison. And boundaries aren't walls. They're the foundation of healthy relationships. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this story resonated with you. Share it with someone who needs to hear that their boundaries are valid. And remember, you always get a say in your own life. Click the next video to continue the journey.